Hello, and thank you for tuning in for another edition of Turning for Home here on the Tournament Edge. I'm your host, Andrew Calvano, and back-to-back weeks, back again, a good friend of mine, a great handicapper, Steven Schwartz. Steve, thanks for coming on.
It's my pleasure. Looking to have a lot of fun and cash a few tickets along the way.
Hopefully that's what we'll do here. We are handicapping the late pick four for Saturday, August 12th. It's the four-star Dave. Little rain in the forecast in for Saturday. Just looks like some scattered thunderstorms here or there. Hopefully they pass us, Steve, because we got a couple turf races in this sequence that obviously we'd like to stay on for price reasons here. You know, we've been kind of lucky with the rain at Saratoga where these thunderstorms, just pass through how they always do it during the meet, and we stay on the grass. So hopefully that's the same for today as well. So let's roll through it, Steve. Let's start off right here with the 8th race. It's an optional claiming here $80,000, a mile and a 16th on the turf, the outer turf. And your favorite is number 8, Off Limits. Chad Brown, Johnny Velasquez, coming in from the Perfect Sting, just got necked out by a horse you liked last week, Steve.
Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we had to start it off on the right foot there. So, Steve, what do you say? Do you think you're flattered here with the 8? What do you want to do here to kick off the pick 4?
I mean, the horse in my eyes is definitely the horse to beat here. Thanks for bringing up losing just by neck to On Leave, who I really needed to come in, and still trying to figure out how we lost last week. But that's we'll leave that in the past. It's the horse to beat. I can definitely see how and why certain people would single here. It's going to be bet down. It's 8-5 morning line. I won't be surprised if it goes off 4-5. I want to get a little cute in this race, to be perfectly honest. Is actually the race where my single is going to come out of. It will not be the 8. Maybe I'm getting a little too cute here, but I'm actually going to land up on the 4, All in Fun. I really believe, especially the way the track has been playing, it's been very kind of speed. I think that this one has a great shot to wire this field here at a 7-2, 4-1 price. I really don't see that many horses that I could attend up front with this horse. And I think, not that he's the best horse in the race, but if you go back to his races last year where, he was running against Tame the Torpedo and just missed out winning there. Bar of Gold, who she just ran against, came back really nicely last week to run a very competitive, I believe, 2nd or 3rd in a stakes race. It may be a little of a reach. This is going to be my single in the pick 4 because I really want to spread later on. Again, maybe a reach. I can't blame people if they want to throw the 8 in because it's by far the horse to beat here. But you know what? I'm going to get a little cute. Castellano on the front end. Maybe wires the field at a nice price to start us off.
And I like the way you're seeing it, Steve. And my top selection is, hopefully going to be on the front end. The way I was reading this race, no doubt about it that this 4 was going to be up and early on the pace. Didn't think he would be the actual leader. I think Castellano would want to, put this one right off and try to make that one run late. So I'm trying to sneak by with a horse that I think will be on the front and hopefully stays there as they get down to the wire. And that's Enchant Reese, number 3 horse, 6-1 for Krista Carlo and Tom Proctor here. If you watch, Naira regularly, and obviously you have so many competitive jockeys. Krista Carlo's that kind of guy that comes up for a day, rides one mount, and, often does, well by the horse. I think the Carlo sends this one right out of the gate. I think this one's going to be tough to catch. I think, from what I'm looking at, my speed figures here, is good enough to run up on the front end. Now, outclassed, obviously, by year 4 and the 8 100% here. But I wanted to dive in and get a little bit of a price to start it off here, especially on top. So this is where I'll land. I think you can make some cases from this one's, starts earlier this year. I mean, last out, going long off the second off the layoff, in that April 30th race, coming off that layoff was in a 5.5 furlong sprint, obviously a prep for something. Last time out of Delaware, got nosed out at the wire. If you watch the gallop out, this one actually ran on pretty well. We go back into the winter. This one running at Sam Houston, a good $50,000 stakes race, finishes 3rd, a win before that. I think this one is a one-way speed horse. DeCarlo's ridden them with a win in the past, so hopefully they team up again here for Tom Proctor, who's been spotting his horses very well up and down the East Coast as of late. This one's working out strong at Fair Hill. Like I said, Steve, I'm just trying to take a shot. I think the 8 is a little bit vulnerable. I think he's the horse to beat, 100% sure, but in my eyes, he's a little bit vulnerable. And a 4-5, like you said, Steve, I'm not going to trust this one. So I'm all in here on the 3. In the pick 4, Steve, I know you're singling. I'm going to go 4 deep to start it off. I'm going to go with number 2, Something Else, for Christoph Clement and West Point Thoroughbred. Do private purchase this one and bring them up. My top selection, number 3, Enchanted Reese. Your horse, number 4, All in Fun, and then the favorite here, Off Limits. So I'm 4 deep, Steve. You're singling. You have anything else to add about this?
I looked at the 3. My concerns, again, it's very difficult when you see a horse like that just coming from a lot of different tracks. I just think 4 has only one way to go. And I feel the 3 has a different, can sit off a little bit. And I'm not sure that even though he has the inside post to the 4, I'm not sure if he's as fast as the 4. It could very well set up as a 3 and 4 duking it out and setting it up for the 8 for all we know. I looked at the 3, and I think we're kind of on the same page in terms of how the race will play out. It just so we just landed on a different horse here, but it'll definitely be interesting to see exactly that that jockey battle between the 3 and 4 and who really sends and if they want to cook it up front. But I think your 4 should definitely get us out of the first leg.
And hopefully that's the way it is. We'll get your 4 home here and beat this 8, who I think will be, like you said, Steve, everybody else's single. And I got a strong single late in the card I'm excited to get to. So you know what, Steve, in this race, I'll take you $9 on your horse just because I got that nice single later on in the card. So let's move on to race 9, an optional claiming a $62,000 6 furlong sprint on the dirt. Your favorite coming out of much tougher races. Grade 2 placed. Number 1, Gift Box for Chad Brown and Javier Castellano. Now, I guess if you don't single the Chad Brown in the race before, I guess you could single here. And you could also single his 8-5 favorite in the 10th race in time test.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to get through 3 Chad Brown horses in this pick 4 sequence. Steve, what do you make of this one? And what do you want to do here in race 9?
I kind of feel like we're having the same conversations as we did last week with Neolithic here. Here we have a horse that on class alone is a pure standout. You can't go through this card and at least this race and find another horse that can run with this horse. But why are they coming back in almost a 280-day layoff and putting him in a 6 furlong race? Why are they putting him in an allowance race? Clearly, it should be in Stakes Company. Clearly, wants more distance. It's a track that has not been favorable to a closer, and that's really what he's going to have to do, albeit on the rail. Again, if this horse wins at 2-5, I'm not going to be surprised. Something just bugs me the wrong way, and very similarly to Neolithic, which unbelievable pick by you in that race where the 4 almost got up. He can win. I don't want him at 2-5, and I believe there's other horses in here that on their best day can beat him if he's not having a right day, and this is indeed a prep race. I don't know how you feel. I'll kind of hand it over to you because I'm going 6 deep in this race because I was able to sing on the first leg, and I'll kind of go into each of those horses. But I'm very curious as to how you're going to play this, concerning you went 4 deep in that first leg.
Yeah, and I'm actually trying to beat Gift Box as well. I'm actually 4 deep here. So first 2 legs in my pick 4, I'm 4 by 4 to start it off. I'm with you on Gift Box. Chad Brown, first off, does amazing work off this type of long layoff. But my concern is why 6 furlongs? This horse is a two-turn horse through and through, racing at Belmont, the mile 16th where it broke his maiden is 1 turn. They don't have that race here. The least they can get is a mile and an eighth. So why not that spot? That's what I'm a little confused about. I think if this came up as a 2-turn race, I think this one is upgraded. But the cutback, like you said, track really has been favoring closers on the rail. You got to get that kickback. I just think there's a lot of things, that could point you away from this horse. But like you mentioned, this horse could also run on and win this race by 5 lengths. But I'm going to hope it's the other way around here. I'm going to go 4 deep here. My top selection is actually going to come from the far outside. And to mention, I think the 2 outside horses are live here. But that's going to be my top selection, number 9, Shero. Steve, we can go back and forth on this horse about the times he was running for Danny Gargan in Midwest Thoroughbreds, and just couldn't seem to lose. But this one has held such class. And if you look at his PPs, look how many times he's been in and out of the claim box here from Gargan to Barbera, Navarro, Maker. He's a popular horse, and he goes all over, from Saratoga to Keeneland, Churchill, Turfway, Indiana Grand, Churchill again. I mean, this one's a machine and is a cash cow, and always runs well. So Rapoli stables come back on. If I can remember, if you look down your PPs, all I have it up to here is up to the Danny Gargan claim, but I'm pretty sure this horse was once in the care of Rapoli once upon a time. I like to see that. I like to see when Rapoli's getting back into the claiming game, getting his horses back.
Yeah. He had a few runs at Aqueduct with Bruce Levine, the same connections.
Yeah, exactly.
And successfully as well.
Exactly. So same connections here. Off the reclaim, I like that. Bruce Levine, barn's heating up. It always heats up here at Saratoga. Very confident in this one. Claimed out of a $50,000 race last time out. This is a jail move here. Steve, I know you got this horse included. I know you're not throwing this one out. So I'm pretty sure you can piggyback me off a little bit. But either way, I think this one sits a perfect trip. I think there's just the right amount of speed to where this one sits that second shelf. Johnny V is going to have him in good position, and he's going to rock and roll. Rapoli likes Johnny V on all his horses. It's how it's always been. I don't think Johnny V would take this mount regardless, if that wasn't the case. So I'm all in here on 6-1 trying to beat Gift Box. Steve, how'd you see it?
Yeah, me and my jail moves. I'm almost married to them at this point. Even though this is a level 2, and for those that are interested, definitely follow me. I could definitely update you in the different levels, but this is really a level 2 jail move where basically they're moving him up in class after the jail period off a win. But if you look at the record, this is what this horse does. He's coming in great form. The outside pulse does concern me a little bit. I would definitely look at that track and see how it's playing to see if it's a fair track. I even upgrade it even a little bit. There's plenty of speed in the race between the 5, 6, and 8. It should be sitting in a perfect trip right on the outside. And if it's a fair track, 6-1 is a very fair price in this jail move. A couple of bombs that I really want to throw into the mix. Probably my silliest pick of the entire meet. I think the 2 has an unbelievable shot here to, at the very least, hit the board at a huge price. You look, I'll throw his last race out, which was routing. The horse clearly does not want to route. Prior to that, had 2 wins on the turf. If you go back to that, where the maiden race on the dirt against Colefront, who's been turned into a really nice horse here, he was basically chasing that horse for a while and then quit. I want to go back to that. I'm wondering if he can improve on that race again at 40, 50-1, which is probably what this horse is going to be. I'm not going to throw him out. I'm definitely probably going to wheel him underneath for a big price here. I want to take a look at a couple of other big prices. Hey, Jabberjaw, the 6. Again, a huge price. And if Michael Leslie's on a horse and I'm throwing him in, it must be something I like because I really got to go out to find something. But you can look at his races. Toscano claimed this horse for $80,000. They must have seen something they liked in this horse. They put $80,000 on him and then put him in a very tough allowance race against the likes of Ready for Rye and All Star Red, Life in Shambles. You go back prior to that, he beat Gypsy Johnny, who's a very competitive horse in the circuit. The talent is there. They threw $80,000 this horse for a reason. I want to give a shot. Again, if he was 5-1, would I throw him in? Probably not. But I don't want to lose a $40, $50 horse if I can see a possible angle. The 7 is another horse that really intrigues me here. It's a Half the Hill This Passion. It was an 8-time winner on dirt. The first dirt try was first race. I'm curious how they come back. I get Liscano and Mott, who are usually much better on turf. But again, this is a race where if you want to beat Gift Box, the last thing you want to do is actually beat the heavy favorite and not be able to cash in the ticket. So
exactly.
So again, I'm 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9. My top selection is going with you on the level 2 jam move and Cerro.
And I'm 4 deep here, like I mentioned. Cerro's my top pick. That's the 9. Also going to include number 8, still Chris for Jason Service, because anything he's throwing out just can't seem to lose, and I'm not going to lose with Service aboard. Maybe pace compromise, but still not going to let that one let go. Race against El Deal last time out, who came back to win the stakes race up here. Obviously going to include Gift Box number 1, and a horse that I think may get pace compromised, but I think he's quicker than some and has the inside draw, and that's number 3, Brimstone for Jacobson and Santana. Lost into John Moresi last time out. Celtic Chaos, a very good horse, came out of there. If you look 2 back, he won at this level already. Ricardo Santana gets aboard. Ridden this one in the past. I think he just sends him out. Has a win over the track. And like you mentioned, Steve, if you're trying to beat Gift Box, you got to find a horse. You got to find ways to beat them, and you don't want a $22 horse, to knock you out when you knew the horse in Gift Box probably didn't have a shot to win. So I'm 1, 3, 8, 9 in the 9th race here, moving on into the 10th race, the 4-star Dave Grade 1 handicap. For 3-year-olds and upwards, going a mile on the turf course. Your favorite, another Chad Brown. We'll see if we can get by this one. And that's number 3, Time Test, 8-5 for Juddmonte Farms. This one's second in the Manhattan last time out to Ascend, who was big odds that day on Belmont Stakes Day. Steve, what do you make of the favorite here? What do you want to do moving on to the pick 4?
You look at that horse, again, class of the field, but you know what? The last 2 times out was 2-5, 6-5, and came up just short. Now he's at a mile. I don't know if this horse wants a little more distance that he's going to get today. I think, again, I'm throwing on my ticket. I'd be crazy not to, but I think it's a situation that he can be beaten. And again, if we're in a situation where, you know what, I singled a non-favorite in the first leg, I'm trying to beat Gift Box in the second leg. If I can get past those 2 races and have a shot to also beat this third, I mean, we're looking at a serious pick 4 ticket here. I am including it, but the 2 probably sure with the amount of time that we've talked in the past, you probably know exactly which 2 horses they are. Disco Partner, I mean, I had him Belmonte when he broke the track record and cashed nicely on that horse. And then as much as I liked him, I went against him because of him stretching on the mile, and I didn't think he had a great shot. And of course, he proved me wrong and probably turned in one of the most impressive performances in the Belmont meet. So I'm going to include Disco Partner because right now that horse is as good a form as you can possibly be in. And I'm also going to throw a horse in that I know that we've talked in the past that you're definitely high on, Sassy Little Lila. I didn't like her necessarily last week. But I think there's actually a better shot. And one of the reasons I like her, I think she'll have a less of a predicament up front. I think she'll actually dictate things up front to her liking. And also, I really like the fact that they aim toward this race. They purposely scratched her out of last week's race, which had a lot more speed and could probably be a little more competitive for that horse to actually jump him up into a much tougher situation here. With that being said, I went 3 deep. I'm 3, 5, 6, but for the life of me, I can't remember a 6-horse grade 1 field as tough as this.
And I agree with you, Steve. And you mentioned, being there on site with Disco Partner breaking the record. Don't forget who was standing right next to you with with a big win ticket as well.
Absolutely.
And I'm in agreement with you here. Last time out, you're stretching out to a mile. I didn't think this one could get it either, but boy, did he prove me wrong. I think he's in great form right now. Christophe Clement took this one off the layoff from Jimmy Ryerson and has turned him into a freak, a new horse. And I think we're going to see this one on Breeders' Cup Day out in Del Mar, whether he wins or loses this race. 2-1. Irad Ortiz, Jose Ortiz, Joel Rosario, all those guys are out there at Arlington Park this weekend for the Arlington Million. So you get Tyler Gaffalione. Wouldn't be my first choice, obviously. But it's more about the horse underneath him, and this one's a freak in nature. And Gaffalione has been holding his own up here through 13 starts here, and just facing much tougher than what he has been at Gulfstream Park. So I'm on the 6 here. This is actually an all race for me.
Wow.
I'm 4x4 by all on my singles in the last race. So really, I can make a case for anybody here. I think Time Test is tough to beat, but I think this one should have won out last time, and I'm not going to trust 4-5. Probably 1-9. You got to think in the pick 4. I think the Donegal horse on the rail for Bill Mott, if things heat up, has a chance coming off the poker, but that was over wet turf. How much can this one improve today? Going into the horse you're including, and I'm on as well, Sassy Little Lila, 6-1. Scratched out of that race. And like you mentioned, Steve, was going to be up against it from a pace setup. I think this one walks on the front end today.
Yep.
I mean, I literally think that nobody is quick enough to let this to contest this one.
And a turf that has been unbelievable to speed here. And if they let this horse walk in the lead, the race is over.
Exactly. And you know how New York guys can get, especially in these big turf races where the mindset is, well, I have such a good horse under me. It doesn't matter, who's on the front because we're going to run him down anyway. I mean, if you get loose, you get loose. And Sassy Little Lila was 5-2 last time we handicapped this one, and now 6-1. So, I mean, you're getting a big break on odds there. I think this one's a must include. If I wasn't going all, I'd be with you. I'd be using the logicals 3, 5, 6. But I think the 5 is very, very live. And I'll be honest with you, 6-1. That's a gift to me. I think this one actually goes off towards 3-1 when all said and done and comes to post time here. So I think if you can get 6-1 odds, make a win bet on this one, worth a shot trying to walk around the turf course. So yeah, Steve, I'm all in this race. I can see Sassy Little Liar wiring it, and hopefully that works for me. I do think Chad Brown's the one to beat, but I'm going to try to beat him because I think he should have won last time, and I'm not sure if the cutback will do him right. So let's move on.
This is the typical race where we get to see 8 races run prior to this race, and if we see in the inner turf that speed is holding up, you know what? I may want to change my ticket and actually go and single the 5 and actually take a shot here. And I think it's important. We always bring this up that we can go into a mind having a ticket that we feel comfortable with, but you also have to be ready to adjust to that depending on how the track is playing. So again, I'm 3 deep. I know you're all, and again, it's very competitive. But if we're seeing that speed is playing out, a win bet at anything close to 6-1, like you said, is a gift. And you know what? I'm gonna have a couple tickets that single to this horse.
And honestly, I think it's worth it. And I think it just goes to show, Steve, I'm all in this race. I'm not all and on my other tickets singling Time Test. I think a price comes out of this race. I don't trust Time Test to win this one. I'm trying to beat. So I think 6-1. I mean, if you have a strong opinion, go out there and take it here. I got a $48 ticket here. I'm singled in the last leg. If the track is playing to speed on the inner turf, maybe I single Sassy Little Lila and go 6 in the maiden claimer on the turf.
Absolutely.
Realistically, I should be spreading in that race, but I think I'm on a good horse. But yeah, I see no problem in singling this horse. I got no problem with trying to beat Chad Brown 3 races in a row. And we talked about this horse last time, and I'll just reiterate. Last time out was home free in just a game. And Antono, the Chad Brown horse with Javier Castellano, if you remember, was 7 wide, and he sprung her right to the rail, and they went up the rail and won that race. I mean, that move doesn't get pulled. You can run that race 100 times, and I guarantee this horse, Sassy Little Lila, wins 99 of them because that horse pulling off that move, I mean, you will never see that again. So I'm all in on Sassy Little Lila, and I think that goes to show as I hit the all button, I think a price comes out of this one here. I'm going to play, like I said, I'm playing a win ticket on this one if I get it 6-1, and in other pick 4s, probably get a single and roll around some pick 3s as well. Maybe try to catch an all-burger in this maiden claiming race we got coming up, to back me up should my single not get home. But, Steve, I'm all with you on Sassy Little Lila. I think Time Test is, can be beat here to move on to this pick 4. So let's move on to the closing leg of the pick 4. Looks like Steve and I can both be alive going into this pick 4, and hopefully we beat Chad Brown not once, not twice, but 3 times. Especially with that 4 kicking it off for Steve this way, we can get some prices here. It's the 11th race, maiden claiming, going 5.5 furlongs on the Mellon turf. Steve, your rule, you got to go deep in these races. Majority of the time, I hit the all button myself, but I'm taking a stand. Steve, before I get into my single, let me hear your thoughts here, see if we're on the same page.
Yes, everyone knows who's following it. The maiden claimers on turf. I'm probably one out of a million who loves these races, and I kind of have my theory on them. You got to go deep because there's so many things happening in these races, and really understanding why trainers really place horses in here. The 5.5 furlong, the Mellon turf has been playing very nicely to outside closers, and I kind of, again, assuming that the track is playing the same, I'm going to try to follow early. I want to play very similarly here. My top selection is the 12, but I am going 4 deep, and because I singled early on, it's going to allow me to kind of go a little bit deeper in here. If I decide I want to kind of do a single with Sassy Little Lila the previous race, again, I may be hitting an old burger here because anything and usually anything does happen in these type of races. But I look at the 12th Rice, Lescano, and we've had plenty of conversations about we see Lescano on the outside in a turf race. We're all about that, although usually we like it routing. I just feel that this horse has had 2 excuses prior in his 2 maiden claimer races on turf. I like that Liscano's hopping aboard. Speed figures outside. That Mellon turf course has been playing the outside closers. It fits. I really want to take a look at two other horses that really caught my eye. If I take a look at Source Control, the 11, again, Shipsid, a nice closing trip on the outside, which has been playing nicely. Has been, and actually prior to that was on the inner turf course and actually closed into that inner turf course on a day that was extremely difficult to close into. It really caught my eye, and now I'm getting 8-1 with Rudy and Saez. Definitely someone I want to include in my tickets. Another one that really popped out, and it's kind of a sentimental favorite, as I'm a big dog lover as well, the Pooch. The Pooch last couple times out went at extremely short odds and pretty much never got out of the gate. And now instead of going off 6-5, 2-1, you're going to give me 10-1 in this horse. These are the type of horses on maiden claimers that I look for. Prices, horses that are going to be 3, 4, 5 times the amount that they really should be. And I'm going to get Carmouche, who I love, is a very aggressive jock. Someone on the outside at a huge price, sign me up. The 4 I kind of threw in as a maybe, had some trouble in the dirt, now switching to the turf. Not really bred for the turf, but someone I want to include in just tonight beat me out. So I'm really 4, 7, 11, 12 with the 11 and 12 my strong choices.
Well, Steve, I don't know how I feel that for once, for like the first time ever, we're not on the same horse. Or you're including them.
It's the maiden claimer on turf.
It's a maiden claimer on turf, and I live by the rule of Steve Schwartz. Go out there and find a price, and I'm going to be singling here. I'm going to single, a sharp horse, and I'm hoping to get paid for it. I hit the all button one race. I'm confident with the other 3 races, so I'm making this a pick 3. I'm all in on number 6, Danny's Rush, for Bill Mott and Junior Alvarado. And let me break this one down. Debuted here last summer, had 2 races here, both against much, much tougher company. Lost some very good horses in those races, but let's not forget Bill Mott never fires first time out. Rarely does he come back second time out. He takes his time with his horses. Faced tough state breds in debut, open company in second time out going longer, had some next out winners in that group, whatever. Now comes back to 6 furlongs at Belmont September 11th, loses by 2 lengths behind Shiraz, who comes back to win. They keep him on a race, 7 furlongs October 2nd, race gets washed off the dirt, 20 lengths gets defeated, want no part of that. They get him quickly back to Aqueduct to run on the turf. Mile on a 16th, runs 3rd by a length and a half. If you watch that replay, had a lot of horse that isn't shown here on the past performances. I think this one could have won that race had Rosario made one, made a move a little bit earlier, but no big deal. Let's move back. Long layoff, June 8th, Belmont Stakes Festival weekend when we saw a lot of good horses. Bill Mott, not that strong off that long of a layoff. This one runs a very game 4th with Lescano aboard, loses to Crawdaddy. Crawdaddy comes back to win a New York Stallion Series race. Uncle T-Bone, who finished 3rd that day, comes back to win. Both those horses in the Jeremiah Engelhart barn. He heats up during that last part of Belmont, so you got to watch out for his horses. They're always alive. So let's come back to this next stat race, July 15th. Drops down for a tag for the first time. Going long. I just don't believe this one wants to go long. I think his only good long race came over a wet turf course that he just kind of stuck to. If you watch his second career start of a long, just didn't want to go to. I think this 5.5 furlong distance hit him right between the eyes. Look who came out of that last race, Kierland. That's a horse that you and I are very high on, Steve. And, raced, I believe, last Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And you look very game, but just didn't have it. I think that was a tougher field than it says, a 12-horse field, and this one was even money. I think the cutback hits this one right between the eyes. Junior Alvarado is riding with so much more confidence as of late. He's picking up a winner here and there every day. He's back. I agree. I think this one is ultra live. I mean, you can go through this field and toss out half of them right off the bat. I want to go get a price. I'm all in on this one, 6-1. I broke it down. Here's a couple things I didn't like about some horses. Dab. I understand the claim gets him right back to turf, but I'm not taking that price here in the maiden claimer on the turf. And the Steve Asmussen barn is just way too cold. The 12 Lescano on paper, I really like this one, but didn't want to take on top. Linda Rice 0 for 12 last 5 years turf sprints at Saratoga, but I think this one, like on paper, you can't really, I can't talk you off that horse, Steve. The number 2 horse, Grand Valor for Linda Rice. I mean, the pedigree is not really there, not good enough for win out. I'm not sure that one wants to be on the rail when we get back to that Linda Rice stat.
And she's much better second time out than first time as well.
Exactly. I'm all in here on the 6. I'm trying to catch a price 6 to 1. I mean, you figure we're alive and we beat a couple of those Chad Browns. This pays over 1,000 at least. A couple horses that I'll wheel around with this 6. At wit's end, the 1 for Paco Lopez. Paco Lopez going to buy a win this meet. He's really been struggling, but I think this one's aggressive from the bell, and that's always strong. And who better than Paco Lopez? The Pooch should not be 10 to 1. Steve, I do my morning line odds, beforehand, so I can kind of see where I'm getting an overlay or an underlay. I have this one at 5 to 1. I think at 10 to 1, I may just put a win bet on the side. This would be my hedge bet for sure. I think Carmouche tries to take this one wire to wire as well, gets a big upgrade from Rajiv Mirage. Pooch at 10 to 1 should not be let off at that one. The 11, Rudy Rod, can't leave that one off. That one's been doing some sharp running, and I'm going to wheel around the 12 as well for Linda Rice. Like I said, very formful, but I tried to get a little gutsy here on the single. So I was looking for the best stats I could. So
yeah, and that's the type of race the main on turf is. And I think what we kind of have the same strategy here is that we believe that there are some heavy favorites that are vulnerable. And now we're trying to find that one price. I did it in the first leg, you did in the last leg. That is really going to make this ticket an opportunity for us to walk up to the IRS window and cash. Anyone in this 11th race, you could convince me to include, because that's the type of race it is. I think the trick is, can we get to this leg, this final leg, and be alive to a really nice ticket by beating at least one, hopefully 2 of those heavy favorites? If we do, you know what? I have no problem sitting back, rooting for your 6. Definitely throw a few bucks on it. Again, I think this could be a $5,000 to $6,000 pick 4 if it breaks just right.
And hopefully that's the way it is. I mean, all you got to do is get past these Chad Brown horses. I mean, you got to think. You knock out the 8 in the first race, you're knocking out a lot of singles right there.
Yep.
For all the tickets, alive, you knock out Gift Box, obviously you're just knocking down. But if you can knock out Time Tests after knocking out at least one of those Chad Brown horses, I think you're looking at a very good price, especially with a maiden claimer on the turf. To close it, you're going to get paid here. So, Steve, one more time. In the 8th race, I'm 2-3, 4-8. 9th race, 1-3, 8-9. 10th race, I'm hitting the all button there. I do like Sassy Little Lila at 6 to 1. We're going to make a win bet. In the 11th race, I'll close 5 to number 6, Danny's Rush. Steve, what's your big 4 ticket?
I'm going to work backwards right now. But in the 11th race, I'm 4, 7, 11, 12. But again, I don't blame if you put any horse in there. 10th race, I'm 3, 5, 6. In the 9th race, got a lot. We got 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9. And hopefully all this matters, because in the first leg, I've singled to the 4, all in fun. And if I can get the 4 home in the first leg, I feel really good about the rest of the ticket.
So hopefully we get that 4 home for Steve. A $9 horse will knock out a single of that Chad Brown horse. Will both be alive. Steve, I believe your ticket's a $36 ticket for a 50-cent wager. Mine's a $48 ticket. And, honestly, in this type of pick 4, especially at Saratoga, that's a good moderate price in my opinion. You're well covered. I even bought a race, and we both have a single in the card, so I'm feeling confident about it. Steve, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, and let's get them.
Let's go get them, guys, and good luck to everybody playing.